Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, they call it the Zoom effect. We're all staring at ourselves all day long, and it's making us self-aware. Why cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery is booming right now. That's next on the Jeff Crilley Show.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know if you remember, before the pandemic, I mean, we would look in the mirror, we would see each other on social media, and we would become somewhat aware of how we look. But the Zoom effect, I mean, let's face it, we're looking into a camera all the time, and we're picking up on imperfections, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Somebody who knows a little something about that, Dr. Rohrich, he is a world-renowned cosmetic plastic surgeon, and your teacher. I mean, you have educated so many plastic surgeons around the globe. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. It's great to be here with you, Jeff.
Well, tell me about, for you to train the next generation of plastic surgeon, that's got to feel good.
It really does. It's something that drives me every day. I mean, you have to be purpose-driven, and what drives me is teaching excellence in what I do and giving back. And that's just part of my daily routine. And I'm surrounded by young plastic surgeons that I teach, that I've trained, and some of my partners that I've trained, and that's really one of the many things that makes me tick.
Yeah, one of the things that we were talking about before the show was the idea of artistry. I mean, it's not, you have, every patient is a unique person for you, and this is a chance for you to create artwork, isn't it? Absolutely. Every patient is a canvas, and you must look at that canvas and recreate its uniqueness, the uniqueness of the beauty of that canvas, of that individual, and to restore it and to make it more beautiful, but to keep the innate beauty they had at a younger age. And that's perfect plastic surgery, is you don't know you've had it. Yeah. So you were telling me before the show about one child that you helped. Tell everybody that story. Yeah, when I was at Parkland, I had so many wonderful patients, but one really stood out was this child that had inadvertently had boiling water spilt on his head and face, and so I reconstructed the patient, the scalp with tissue expanders, and I got to know the mom, the family, and as a kid grew up, and he grew up into an amazing young adult and became a hospital administrator, and it just transformed him, and just that ability to help somebody get back to normal and actually succeed in life. I mean, that's really that's why, we're doctors. I mean, yes. That's what makes us tick, and I love that. It's beautiful, very inspirational. You're very active on social media. You have a YouTube channel, and you have a great name for a show. It's Unbotched. Let's go ahead and roll a clip now.
This is a beautiful young woman that's got a severe secondary nasal deformity, deviation, breathing problems, pointy tip from excess cartilage resection. We're going to reshape, restore, reform her nose to match her face, and straighten it, refine the tip, and turn the tip down. Beautiful.
So let's talk about the unbotched, because there's a lot of, unfortunately, bad cosmetic surgery out there. How often are you correcting somebody else's mistake?
Every day. I correct plastic surgery that's gone awry every day, whether it's bad rhinoplasties or facelifts. And that inspired me to talk about things that are unbotched, because I see all these things that are negative about plastic surgery, that talk about, oh, these are these awful things that they did. And yet I want to talk about and show real plastic surgeons doing really great plastic surgery that's not botched, it's unbotched. And also taking those patients that had been botched and making them unbotched to really kind of showcase the artistry of who and what we are as plastic surgeons in a very positive light, and hence unbotched.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of those people out there who are taking some quick weekend course and learning a procedure, and then they're telling all their patients, yes, of course I can do this, and they end up being a guinea pig. I mean, if you run into a situation where you're not their surgeon, you back away. Is that right?
Yeah, and I try and help people because so many people today don't know where to turn, because, you know, Dr. Google is available 24/7. He's not a doctor, and he's wrong 95% of the time. So people are confused. There's no more family doctor. It's Dr. Google. So many times they get led down a wrong path and down to some person who, as you know, everybody's famous on their own website, whether they are or not. Right. And so my goal is to guide them to true experts, or I will help them in the field that I'm an expert at, in rhinoplasty and facial rejuvenation and secondary cosmetic surgery correction, and just want to get them back to being and looking normal, you know, because that has been a real problem. And hence with Zoom, people don't like looking at what they're seeing every day, and it may be them, but it may look not so good.
Yes. We have some before and afters, and when we say this man is an artist, we mean it. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Why don't you kind of walk through what we're looking at here?
These are rhinoplasty patients that wanted to have their nose match their face. These are just examples of patients that had, you know, a really thick, full nose and couldn't breathe, and so we reshaped their dorsum, their tip, and just made it look so they naturally look as good as they feel. And I think these are just examples of people that they're normal people, but they just want to look good, and they don't like their hump. They didn't like how their face looked, and now their nose matches their face. So now you look at their eyes, not their nose. So it's just kind of a natural look, and I think people want to look good. And you know, I find it to be so transformational. I will do a rhinoplasty on a 16 or 17-year-old. Because, you know, especially in young women, you know, girls are not very nice to other girls, and in 1 week after a rhinoplasty, you see the amazing transformation of these young girls, because they come in, they feel more radiant. In fact, today I had a patient came in and she said, I have never been able to look in the mirror until after my rhinoplasty, because I was so ridiculed, and now I'm very confident. My parents tell me that. And it's just that inner glow becomes their outer reality. It's unbelievable.
I bet you run into former patients all the time that say, hey, you won't remember me, but...
Unfortunately, I do remember them, but you know, in the public setting, you only will acknowledge somebody if they acknowledge you.
Yes.
But in Dallas, you know, it's people really, Dallas is a very open, great plastic surgery community. You know, most of my patients will come up to me, but I never go up to my patients unless they come up to me. And you know, but Dallas is a very unique, great place, because it's a mecca for plastic surgery.
And you and I were talking before the show about, you know, you think of the big towns. I mean, it's New York, LA, Miami, Dallas are all in the, you know, the top 5 of cosmetic surgery. We're saying to somebody that I had cosmetic surgery is not necessarily something that's shameful. If anything, it's like, way to go, girl.
Right. You know, people want to look as good as they feel, and the sign of great plastic surgery is you don't know you had it.
Yes.
And that's the great thing, and I think Dallas is a real great place for plastic surgery, because, you know, we've trained so many great plastic surgeons here, and I think, you know, we're all proud of that, and many stay here, but many go all around the country.
Where do you see that plastic surgery going in the coming years? Because I have a philosophy, and I'm going to share this with you. So, you know, when I was growing up, when you were growing up, we saw old people on TV. You just did, you know.
Right.
I grew up with Sanford and Son, the Waltons. There was a there was a grandpa on the show. These days, if you look at prime time, you don't even see anybody over 40. I remember my daughter coming up to me when she was 22, and she was furrowing her brow and saying, "Daddy, look, I need Botox." I mean, I have this idea that the next generation can't even imagine getting old.
They don't, because they've never had the vision of getting old. It's kind of like that, you know, because if they get old, they can face tune it, they can fix it, and you know, everything is instant. So we're kind of creating a new persona of who we are, and that is good in a way, but sometimes it's not so good, Jeff, because you know, getting older and more mature is actually, it's okay. I think you just need to look as good as you feel.
Yes.
And that's hence great plastic surgery.
Well, you shocked me, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to put you on the spot. How old are you?
I'm 67. Yeah.
67. This man looks great. Because right before I'm 57, and I said, we're the same age, right? And you said 67, and I find that hard to believe. I mean, you, you walk your talk, and you look like somebody I would want to trust my face to. If somebody is like considering cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery, what is the process like? What, do they visit with you? What happens?
Well, in ordinary times, of course, I would see them in person, but since COVID, I have a lot. I do 5 or 7 virtual consults every day, and I think the first thing is people need to kind of make sure they find a real plastic surgeon, somebody who's certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery, somebody who's got experience, expertise, can show exceptional results, the 3 E's, and then you visit with them, and you know, my criteria are that I have to like that person, they have to be healthy, and they have to be realistic. And if they fulfill those criteria, I'm there to help them. So I love helping people. I love helping them look better, feel better. And if I can't do that, or they're not realistic, I won't help. I mean, I'll say I'm not good enough to give you the result you want. And I think that's refreshing, because, I mean, I give people advice. I'm not there to tell them anything. And because I see people from all around the world, either virtually and before in person, and I just give them good advice on what they should have and what they shouldn't have,
yes.
Especially these patients that have had 8, 10 operations to fix their nose. Many times I say, these are the few things you should not do.
Yes.
And sometimes they shouldn't have anything.
Well, you and I were talking about Michael Jackson before the show, and you know, he was a good-looking young man before
Yes.
all the surgeries. And you know, maybe he saw something in the mirror that the world did not see.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate, because everybody comes in and they say, I don't want to look like Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson was an amazing talent, unbelievable. And, you know, I think that maybe after his first or second procedure, he should not have had any more rhinoplasties. I mean, he had other things too. And sometimes the onus is on us as plastic surgeons to say, enough is enough. And we need to say, this is enough. And I see that all the time in patients that say they want more fillers in their lips. And I say, that does not look good, and it's not normal.
Yes.
It is not normal to have your lips looking like, you know, you're not a human.
Yes.
It's not normal.
Well, and you've become an internationally renowned expert, and the media calls you for quotes all the time. We're going to put an article up. This was the BBC London. And I can see where you're getting quoted all over the planet. Is that kind of fun for you to give back to the media that way?
Yeah, I think that it's refreshing, because the media want to hear the truth. They want to hear it not sugar-coated, but they just want to say, okay, you know, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And in this case, you know, you can recover at home. In fact, it's been a boom for plastic surgery. I mean, in ordinary times, I wouldn't say, okay, you're doing your rhinoplasty and we're going to put a mask on you. And you know what Americans would have said a year ago. Right. I said, no way. Now, yes, that's why rhinoplasty and facelifts are booming, but because wearing masks has been part of the social norm as of today, and hopefully it's going to, you know,
absolutely
go another direction, you know, when it's safe.
We all hope so. We only have about a minute left, so the person watching the show right now who says, man, I think I was supposed to watch this show for a reason because maybe I found my doctor, what would you say to that person?
Well, I say to them, find somebody that you can relate to. Find a real plastic surgeon that'll talk about the real results, the real complications, and just be open and honest with you. And it should be an informational conversation. If it is not informational, educational, and hard selling, that's not a good feeling.
Yes.
So, you know, it should be something that should be very, very transparent, and you should leave and say, you know, I learned some things there. I like that, and I like what he or she said. I think that's a good foundation for having good, safe plastic surgery, because, you know, we're physicians first. You know, it doesn't, it says, on our lapel, it doesn't say PS, it says MD. And MD means do no harm. So, you know, I'm a physician first before I'm a plastic surgeon.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's a great way to end this segment. We're going to put your website up. drrohrich.com is the website. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your honor and integrity.
Well, my pleasure, Jeff.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.